Hi guys, I'm Bubsy, and in this video I'm gonna show you how we get set up with rigging the player so he can actually hold the gun properly, and then in the next video we can hopefully get to setting up the actual weapon switching for multiple different weapons. So first of all, in order to set the player up for rigging, it's of course important that you have a character of some kind that has, bones with, root setup, spines, and so on. It has to be a classic humanoid rig, that's how it'll work the best. Now the first thing is, let's go and import it from the package manager. I'm gonna go into the Unity registry, and I want the animation rigging package from Unity. We're gonna hit install on that. Alright, great. Now that we have the animation rigging package, we can click on our character, and if you go under animation rigging up here, you can then hit rig setup. And now we've rigged the setup. If you want to also see it, you can also do a bone renderer setup. So this way you can actually see all the bones mapped out. You can notice how there is I think it's the root that's creating some of these weird big bones in the beginning, or maybe the hips. It is the head bone that's drawing this big one. So we can easily go onto the character, we can find the head just here, and we can just remove that. There we go. This won't change anything, this is purely just for the rendering of the bones, so just to make it a bit nicer, this is how it looks now. Alright, cool. So now that we have our rig set up, we can now start setting up the actual individual rigs. Now the ones that we want set up are obviously the arms. So let's make a new setup that I'm gonna call right arm, or right hand, I guess we can call it. And what you need to add is the 2 bone IK constraint. This is essentially what will take bones from some kind of tip, and then it'll take 2 level of bones and be able to, bend them as you would normally. So I'm going to go under my root here, and I want to go and find my right hand. So we're going to go under the clavicle R, shoulder, elbow, and hand. And now I'm going to take the hand, drag it into the tip, and then I can right click and I can say auto setup from tip transform. And there you go. Now you can see it should automatically have found the elbow and the shoulder to set up from. You can see it's also made some targets and a hint. Great. So if I now quickly hit save on this and we go into play mode, and let me go back and set up so that we can spawn with just single player for testing, like that. There we go. So now we're set up with just a single player. And as you can see here now that it's actually rendering the bones, if we go under the player, we can also just quickly grab the skin of him and enable it to render everything, and you can now see that the arm is actually pointing out to the right. And this is because the target is out here. So you can see as we move the target around, we're now able to actually move the arm. And what we want to do is essentially position these targets correctly on the weapons. So you can see if I do something like this, and I can then position it somewhere around here, essentially. So like that, and boom, and now it looks like he's, somewhat holding the pistol. Of course, you can always play around with this more to make it look even better, but I just want it to look like he is, somewhat holding the pistol. So here you go, you can see this kind of works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna just copy the component now that we've set it up in here. And you can also move the hint however you want. This is essentially what the elbow goes for. I think it looks fine with it down here by the side, so I'm just going to keep it here. But yeah, the most important thing is now we've set our target. I'm just going to go and copy component, and that's it. And if we go back under our player now, we can go to the right hand target, and we can essentially paste the component values. And then you can see it should set itself where we want it. Now this doesn't inherently mean that it works exactly how we want it, but this is a good start. So if I go and hit save now, and let's try and test it with 2 players again. I'm going to hit play on both my client and host, and now you can see that he's actually, somewhat attempting to hold the gun. Obviously you can see it doesn't really follow it with recoil and stuff like that, and we'll get to that in just a bit. Alright, great. Let's now also maybe set up the left hand. So I guess let's go back into play mode with just a single player. I'm gonna go under my player, find the skin, like that. I'm gonna hit on here, so we actually draw him out properly. And then let me go and find the target again, like that. And it looks like we might want to set up the target a little bit differently. I'm just going to move it a little bit up here. Well, it's fine. It's no biggie. I can copy that component, go back in, paste it into the target, like so. And we can also go back, test again, enable the skin, just so we can see it. And we go under the... before we do this, we of course need to then make a left hand rig as well. So let's do that. So I'll call this left hand. This will have the 2 bone IK constraint, and I'll of course want to go and I'll want to find the left hand. So we'll go under the left shoulder instead, find the hand here, and let's drag and drop that into the tip. Let's auto set up, and there we go. Great, now let's start it up again. enable the graphics for him. Go under the rig, left hand, find the target, and let's try and drag and drop that onto the weapon now to make that also look how we want it, rotate it how we want it. And I'll just put it somewhere around maybe here, maybe want it to be more underneath. It's a little hard to see with the drawing of the bones here, so I'm just gonna disable this. And I also want to disable the gizmos for the targets here. There we go. So now I can take the left hand target and I can move it where we want it. So maybe like down here. I think that works pretty well. Maybe rotate a little bit more so he's holding under the gun. And then of course you can see we want the elbow actually poking out, so we want that somewhere up there. Alright, cool. I think this kind of works. So let me copy the target position here. Component, boom, copy. Under the player, let's go to the left hand, the target, and let's paste that in. Like so, and the hint I think we just put somewhere high up here. Cool, let's go and test with 2 players, check if this now looks good. Looks a little funny with his elbow, especially while he's moving, but other than that it might look okay. I'm wondering if his arm is too rotated. We can actually just test this under the other client over here. Is it because his arm is like over rotated? I think it might be. I'm not entirely sure. It looks like there's something weird going on here. No, it still looks weird. Let's try and take the hint, maybe move it down a bit again. Just see how does this look when he moves around. Okay, that looks a lot better. So let's do that instead. So let's just go to the player, take the hint again, and just move it back down a bit. I think it's around here. We moved it to. All right, great, cool. So now we essentially have this set up, and now we have rigging set up. It's really that easy in Unity to set up rigging. Now, what we essentially want to do is when we switch weapon in the future, we of course want to have control over the targets, where they are, where they're rotated, and so on and so forth. And the best way that we can really go about this is actually put them under the weapon itself, where they should target, and then keep that updated so that way it'll follow the weapon. I hope that makes sense, but let's just get right into it and try it out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to copy the right hand target here, and I'm just going to call this the pistol target. And sorry, this is of course going to be pistol underscore left underscore target, and then I'm going to copy the right hand target as well, and I'm going to go pistol underscore right underscore target like this. And now we can find the pistol here and drag them under the pistol instead. So there we go. And what we essentially want to do now is on the gun, we can now set up a reference for the different targets. So let's do private transform, and this will then be the right hand target and the left hand target. And let's also set up for the actual IK target. So right IK target and left IK target. I know this might seem a little confusing, but we essentially need a reference to each one of these transforms that we now made, the target here and here, and the target here and here, right? So I hope you're following along. And essentially what we now want to do is in update, we pretty much want to set these targets. Why is recall duration angry with me? Did I delete something by accident? Oh, I did. I changed something. All right, so essentially in the update, we now just want to set the IK target. So let's do a set IK targets method that we can just run at the very beginning of the update loop. And as you can see here, actually, it is by default right now, we're disabling it if we are the owner. I don't think we any longer want to actually do this. However, we can just remove this, and then we can just say if we are not the owner here, we want to return. And the reason for this is because we still want this set IK targets to run for everybody, because this should be just locally calculated. So let's make the method for this. And essentially what we want to do is we want to set the right IK target dot position to the right hand target position. And I'm pretty sure there is a set position and rotation, which we can use both of. And we want to set this to the right hand target dot position and right hand target dot rotation. And we essentially want to do the same for the left side. So exactly the same thing. And now this should run locally for everybody, but all of this should still only run for the owner. All right, cool. Let's try and see if this now somewhat works. So let me try and make sure that we of course set up the references first and foremost. So I'll just go to the pistol. I'm just going to rename this to pistol really quickly to make it easier. And let's set up the pistol right target. Let's set up the pistol left target. Let's set up the left hand IK target and the right hand IK target like that. Right, I'm gonna hit save and I'm gonna try and press play, and hopefully, as long as we didn't mess something up, it should be set up correctly. So let's try and have a look here. So when our client, he moves around, and when he shoots, you can see that the guns now actually follow the pistol. Cool. And now we actually have a successful IK setup. Of course, you can make it look better yourself by, moving it around or whatever that you like to do. But I think this is completely fine for me. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful to you. You learned something new and you were able to easily follow along. As you can see now, the arms actually follow the gun up and down, and I think this looks pretty good. Of course, you can make it look better. You can see it goes through his body, or when we stretch it out, it might look a little weird. Of course, again, you can adjust things as you want, but I think this works for the purpose of what it is. So hopefully you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. It really does help a small channel like mine a lot. And I just hope that you have a wonderful day.